evening, everyone, and welcome MHS students, parents, guardians, and families to this evening's College Admissions Roundtable discussion. We're delighted to have you join us. We're also recording this event and having it live streamed during our district's YouTube live stream. And we're all gathered here with that shared goal of navigating college admissions. So tonight's program is going to be all about that. It'll last about an hour. And in addition to our live stream, with the recording, it will be posted on the district's news YouTube channel. I'm April Yumich, and I'm your administrator for school counseling, and I'm going to moderate this evening. Before we begin, I want to thank everyone for coming, but also a special thank you to Interim Superintendent Mealy, the Board of Education, and Principal Pat Keevens for giving us this opportunity to meet tonight so we can support our students and families. Additionally, I'd like to thank our high school counseling department for their hard work and support on behalf of our students. And lastly, I'd like to thank our MHS PTO for their generous donations for this evening's event. College admissions process can be both thrilling and daunting, and it's a journey that marks a significant milestone in a student's and a family's life. We understand the importance of this decision and the many questions it raises. Whether you're a senior currently working on your applications, a junior starting to explore your options, or a 9th and 10th grader looking to get a head start, we are here to provide you with guidance and support. This evening is going to be very informative and insightful as we dive into college admissions. So, we're honored tonight to have very important honored guests on our panel. They are college admissions representatives who are experts in the field. To my left is Christina Labella from Manhattanville University, followed by Mr. Philip Howard from the University of New Haven, Mr. Jason Cohen from Pace University, and last but not least, Ms. Beatriz Martin-Ruiz from Purchase College SUNY. And we're very excited to have you here tonight, so thank you for being here. Remember, this process is not about just getting into a prestigious institution. It's about finding the right fit. So, as we embark on this evening's discussion, we're going to have an open mind and engage in very meaningful discussions. And we hope you find a renewed sense and confidence in your path forward. So without further ado, let's get started. And I'd like to have our panel, if you don't mind introducing yourselves and telling us a little bit about your role in your university and anything you'd like to share. Christina, would you like to start?
Hi, good evening. My name is Christina Labella. I'm the Director of Undergraduate Admissions here at Manhattanville University. I have been with the university for about 4 years now and been in higher education for much longer than that. And very excited to be able to continue this partnership with MAEPAC and share the knowledge that we all have with you. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Phil Howard, Senior Associate Director in our Undergraduate Admissions Office. And I've been with the university 7 years now. I really thoroughly enjoy working with the students and families as admissions counselor, and I look forward to speaking with you this evening about the admissions process.
Hello everybody, my name is Jason Cohen. I'm with Pace University as one of the admissions counselors. I'm based out of our Westchester campus in Pleasantville. Super happy to get the opportunity to engage with everybody tonight. Definitely looking forward to seeing folks on the campus as you round out your decisions. And again, any questions you have going forward, looking forward to getting those addressed this evening.
Hi everyone, my name is Beatriz Martin-Ruiz, and I am Associate Director of Admissions at Purchase College, which is part of the SUNY system. I have been working in higher education for over 25 years. I started in admissions. Then I took a little detour working in academic affairs for about 12 years. I was also on the faculty, I am still on the faculty in the Conservatory of Music at Purchase, but I've been back in admissions for about 8 years now. I have direct oversight of international students, transfer students, EOP, and other opportunity programs, but I'm also really involved in the day-to-day operations of the admissions office, and I sign off on a lot of decisions for our freshman applicants. And so I'm just grateful for the opportunity to be here and to answer all of your questions.
Thank you all so much. So we're going to pose some questions to our panel, and after the final question, we'll open the forum up to any questions that anyone has from our audience, for our panel, and we'll get started. Okay? So So let's begin. I know one of the biggest questions we always get asked in the department from our students and our families is, how do you choose the right college for yourself? How do you know? Anybody want to start?
Well, I think that in order to start the process, looking for the right college, as you indicated, it is all about fit and programs, support services, and the things that matter to you as a prospective student the most. And I think that there's lots of ways to go about doing that in terms of taking advantage of doing some research to find out about the institutions that you're interested in, whether you want to go far or you want to stay local in terms of college, commute, or live on campus. And I think there's lots of ways to get that information in terms of going to the universities and taking advantage of professionals in the field like ourselves as representatives that are representing the university to help you get the information that you need. So other things you can do are like visiting campus and things like that.
Sure, go next. So I think starting off, you always want to identify if the college or university that you are shopping around for has the major that you are intending to pursue. So that's kind of step one. And then obviously taking advantage of a campus tour or an open house and really getting to know the campus culture a bit better, seeing if you would fit into that and everything would meet your expectations there. So those are definitely some important elements when ultimately weighing where you will enroll. Everything else will kind of come together, but again, always ensure that the campus you're pursuing does have your intended major, and then always spend a little extra time on that tour speaking with the representative from the university to see if their culture is a good fit for you. If you're looking to be at a large university, medium university, or a smaller one, those are also critical questions to ask and also research in advance as you are ultimately making your decision on where you'll enroll.
I feel like everything has already been said, but I'm so glad that Jason mentioned open houses, because the fall season is the season of open houses for most colleges and universities, and I love a good fall open house. I think it's a great opportunity for colleges and universities to showcase who they are and what they do in a way that is really exciting. You know, the way that we do open houses at Purchase and the way that I know we all do them. We open our doors to our visitors, and so you have an opportunity to not just learn about the college and about the specific majors that you may be looking into, but it's also getting an opportunity to meet faculty, to tour the facilities with students, to kind of get the inside scoop from the students themselves. What do they like, what do they not? How was their experience? And also, college is about a vibe, right? Like, we hear this from our students all the time, and so, and Phil mentioned that the fit is so important, and so seeing yourself on the campus and, kind of these kind of experiences help you determine if this is going to be a good fit, if you see yourself on that campus, and then take it from there.
All right, that's wonderful. I was wondering, in terms of the college visit, what would be some important questions that one would ask on a tour to the admissions counselor or to student ambassadors that are there?
Some of the questions I think that you should talk to a counselor about is going to be a little different than maybe what you ask an ambassador. Counselors are going to be able to tell you kind of the business. What do you need to get done? What do you need for your application? What are the costs? What are some of the scholarships? Your ambassadors, as Beatrice said, are really going to be the ones that give you the nitty-gritty. They're going to say, we really like this, or the food's really good, or this is the better place to eat on campus. This is what we're doing this weekend. They're going to give you the authentic feel, not that the counselors don't. We just aren't students there right now. We are doing the business side of helping you with your application, helping you with financial aid. So I think when you go to campus, it's really important to have your business questions answered, but also have those vibe questions that Beatrice was talking about, and that's where you're going to know about the fit. Because if you feel like you can talk to those ambassadors, most likely you're going to fit in there. You're going to feel like you can find your spot at that university. So that's kind of what I think about when we're talking about going to an open house or a visit. Have two very distinct types of questions.
Yep, I would say you just, again, want to look at, for example, support services, clubs, activities, things to do on campus that you're interested in. And a lot of times, the students will be able to have the insight about how to answer those questions in terms of what they're involved with and giving you information about the campus vibe, as Beatrice put it, because I think that's extremely important. You know, whether you want to be close to a big city or in a big city, or location's always very important, and transportation. Can you have cars on campus as a resident student, and get all of the information that's important to you in terms of meeting your expectations, and what you're exactly looking for, because that's going to be very, very helpful in the process as you're visiting college campuses and making your decisions and narrowing down the list of schools that are going to be top on your list. So a lot of that information is going to be helpful in the process.
All great points from my colleagues so far, but ultimately making the transition from high school to college is a big transition, a big step. So when you're going on those campus tours or attending an open house, the question you might want to ask the student ambassador is how they made that adjustment, if there's anything that you know, you might be a little hesitant about in terms of being able to overcome something. There's a very good chance that student ambassador had the same sort of hesitation making that transition. So don't be afraid to ask questions that are more focused on that area, and I think that will really help students make that transition from high school to college.
There's one more thing that I would highlight, and I think Phil kind of touched on it a little bit. I think that, you know, sometimes I feel that we put too much pressure on 17-year-olds to know what they want to be for the rest of their lives, and it feels like a lot of pressure in some cases to have to pick a major before they can find their people, before they can find their school. And one of the things that I want to highlight is the fact that there's a lot of learning that happens in college outside of the classroom. And so the curricular requirements are important, right? You want to make sure that you're looking at schools that have the major that you're looking for, and where you feel that you're going to be supported in that kind of, that aspect of your academic pursuits. But there are all kinds of co-curricular and extracurricular opportunities that are going to enrich your life as a college student significantly. And by co-curricular, I mean things like working with career development to make sure that you have a plan of attack so that when you graduate, whether you choose to go to graduate school or whether you're thinking of going in the workforce, you will have been supported and prepared for that next step in your life. But co-curricular is also having access to advising, having access to tutoring, having access to other resources that are going to be there to support you in your academic endeavors. And I would argue that even study abroad is a co-curricular experience. It adds tremendously to the experience that you have in your college, but it takes you outside of your comfort zone, and it exposes you to other cultures, and you have the opportunity to take other classes that may not be offered at your college or university. All of those things add a level of depth to your experience that I think is really, really exciting. And Phil mentioned clubs and organizations and things like that, and that's the extracurricular activities that everybody knows. And so, you know, don't just get so hung up on asking questions about your intended major, but get the full perspective, because there's a lot of life to be lived in your college, in your next destination, and you want to make sure that you check all the boxes.
That's just great advice. Thank you for that, Beatrice.
Thank you.
So if there's a college that a student is interested in, how do they show interest in that college?
If you're a senior, you should apply if you're interested. And then you should attend different open houses, reach out to the counselor. A lot of us are able to, you all are getting advertisements from different places. We also are able to see that, but we're not doing it to sell you something. We're doing it so that we know what you are interested in. If you're on one of our web pages for a club, we might want to send you some more information about that. So don't be afraid to browse and spend time on the places that you want. And don't be scared if you get information about that, because really, we're using the information so that we can help you, not so much to help us. So a lot of schools are using ping data now to be able to send you more information and get to know you better as well. So that's one of the ways, and I think reaching out and letting your interest be known is also really important. I know there's a lot of stealth shopping now and a lot of like, oh, I don't want people to know, but we are human beings and we want to know. We want to know you as a human being, and I think that's the most important thing to remember when you're working with colleges and universities, is that it's humans first. It's not just that we're trying to get as many students. We all here want to connect with the students that decide to come to our institutions.
Yep, I agree. As Christina mentioned, as you are being tracked for your activities, we as universities sometimes track demonstrated interest, and we do at the University of New Haven. So in terms of you being able to go to the college fair locally at your school or in your region, or again, visiting campus at the universities that you're interested in, and also meeting with your counselor are all very important to us, because that gives us an indication of how interested students are based on their activities and how interested they are in different programs and how many times they visited campus. We have lots of events for students to take advantage of that are interested. And other events are, once you get accepted, you get accepted student days to get more of an idea of what it's like. Orientation is mandatory for certain schools. And this is all information that's available to you as you're speaking with your representatives from the different colleges, and also as you're looking at the different websites to get information. These are important events and activities that you can take advantage of.
Phil and Christina basically laid out all the points that I was going to highlight there, but just to kind of echo what they were saying, a lot of times colleges and universities will do high school visits, so if your schedule permits, always encourage students to attend that visit. It gives you a great insight into the university, specifically from the counselor's point of view, and also gives you the opportunity to get to know the counselor who is likely going to review your application. But yeah, Christina and Phil laid out also some great recommendations there. And as I just mentioned, definitely attend the high school visit, so long as your schedule does allow you to do so.
Can I say one more? I would say reply to your counselor's emails. We're going to be sending you emails when you come into our system, when you come into our office as a prospect student, before you even submit an application. As Christina said, we want to make sure that we have an opportunity to get to know you, human to human. And oftentimes we will send you emails to remind you when we are starting to accept applications, to remind you maybe of an important deadline coming up, or maybe to invite you to an event. Don't be afraid to hit reply. We love hearing from our students. It's a great opportunity to connect, and we always remember the students that read our emails and engaged with us. And we really appreciate it because, again, it's all humans doing this kind of work. This isn't some sort of a sophisticated AI machine that is going to be looking at your application. It's us sitting at this table. So take advantage of that and, be genuine about it. Sometimes I get phone calls in my office, and I'm sure you do too, where young students are calling and they're not quite sure what to ask. And that's okay. We're always happy to have a conversation, and sometimes in the process of starting that conversation, you think of other questions that you should ask, or maybe we say something that gets you thinking in a different direction. Those opportunities to connect on the human level are really, really important.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Let's talk a little bit, we're talking about applications and kind of the different cycles we're in now. What is the difference between early decision, early action, regular admissions, and rolling admissions?
So the main differences with ED, known as early decision, is that it's binding, it's a commitment, you're signing a contract once you get accepted from the university that you're applying ED to. You have to withdraw all your other applications from the other schools and universities that you apply to. You also have to deposit by a certain date. So, you know, those are the things that are a little bit more contractual for early decision. Now, early action is an option that's more flexible, it's non-binding, you're still able to apply to as many colleges and universities as you wish, and you know, there are certain advantages to applying early, like learning about the scholarships that are available, your merit scholarship. We're a private university, so you will receive a merit scholarship, and then in addition to that, there are some benefits, like we have a step up in our early action option in terms of the dollar value that you will receive when you apply by certain deadlines. So those are some things to look at. And then you'll also get an opportunity to submit your FAFSA and get your financial aid package once you've been accepted at your institutions that you've applied to, and you'll be able to receive scholarships while they're available before scholarship programs fill up. So taking advantage of the early action options is extremely important, and there are some advantages to being able to do that. And then you have regular decision, which is usually which allows you to deposit by the May 1st deposit deadline date, and early action is also a May 1st deposit deadline date.
Fairly similar with Pace University, but one of the benefits that I want to highlight for those considering applying early decision would be that you are competing against a smaller pool of applicants, so you are best positioned to be in a good spot for admission, and with that, Pace will ultimately put its absolute best foot forward in terms of scholarships. So we are definitely going to reward folks for applying as an early decision applicant, and just like Phil had mentioned, that would be binding, so contractual there, and you would definitely have to commit to us and withdraw all other applications, whereas our early action prompts would allow students to ultimately decide if they're going to enroll with us or enroll elsewhere. So that does give you a bit more flexibility to weigh options, to review various financial aid packages, and then of course just a regular decision. Also, as Phil had mentioned there, would just require students to have their deposits in by that May 1st deadline. So those are kind of the basics in a nutshell. If PACE is your number one, early decision is a great route to consider. But if you ultimately want to weigh your options, then early action might be the route for you. But nevertheless, hope you do consider applying to PACE.
One thing that I might add, just in case we have any students that are interested in some of our visual and performing arts, Purchase is kind of a unique school in that we have a really good balance between the visual and performing arts and the more traditional liberal arts. And so for the liberal arts programs, we're talking about majors in the humanities, the natural sciences, the social sciences, etc. We tend to follow a pretty straightforward, either early action or rolling admissions process, and those deadlines are important, you guys, and so every school is going to have slightly different deadlines. Make sure that you're keeping track of all of those, because there's no worse feeling than finding out that you may have missed out on the opportunity to submit an application or to qualify for a scholarship because you missed the deadline. But anyway, so what I wanted to say is that Purchase offers 40% of our enrollments are actually in the visual and performing arts, and these are programs that are by design intense, hands-on artistic preparation, BFA type of programs, Bachelor of Fine Arts. And those programs typically require an additional step beyond the application. So you may be asked to do an audition if you're a dancer or an actor or a musician. You may have to have an interview in the case of film or design technology. You may have to submit a portfolio for programs like creative writing or any of the visual arts. And so those programs don't really, at least at Purchase, don't really allow for early action because they take, well, let me put it this way, it's a marathon. It's not like a 5K. It takes all year to go through the application process for one of these arts programs. And so you can apply early, certainly, but you're gonna have to kind of wait and be put in the context of the entire applicant pool. If you need to do an interview or an audition, those are typically gonna happen in February. And so you may not get a decision until March, sometimes maybe even early April. And so keep in mind that different majors may have different application processes with slightly different deadlines than the more traditional ones.
So I do want to mention there's a new type of admissions decision. There's now this direct admission program. You may have seen some universities that are doing it. Manhattanville University does have a direct admission program. Some schools do it through third-party vendors. Some schools do it on their own. So we actually use Common App and we have our own. And if you have received a direct admission application, I encourage you to fill it out. You have somehow indicated by either a GPA that you've submitted previously or your interest that you would qualify for one of these programs. I anticipate many more universities will continue to participate in these direct admission programs, whether they do them through third-party vendors like Common App or Niche, or College Vine is another one that does it, or they do it on their own. But I really would encourage you, if you've received an email and you know that you meet the qualifications for it, to apply. Most of the time, so for us, it's a waive of our application fee, it's a waive of our recommendation letter, and really it's a way to congratulate you on the hard work that you've already done and put in. Like Beatrice mentioned, there are going to be some programs that won't qualify for that, and each institution will be different, but it's fairly new. It's been around for maybe about 4 years, and I'm continuing to see more and more schools adopt it, especially in our region and then throughout. So if you have received one of those, either from us or from another school, you should fill it out. For some reason, they've identified that you are a good potential student at their school, and they want to make it easier and reward you for the work that you've already done.
Great point. Thank you so much. So let's talk a little bit about factors in the college admissions decisions. Maybe you guys could shed a little bit light on what are admissions counselors really looking for in an application? How can a student make their application stand out?
Well, what's important when you are submitting your application is to make sure that you are following all of the admissions requirements, such as high school transcript, letters of recommendation, completing the essay. And in the essay, you can personalize that a little bit to indicate how you will add value to the university's campus community, what your future plans are in terms of the academic program that you're looking to study, what you're looking to get out of the program, and maybe even indicating some of your past successes, maybe one successful thing that you've done in the past that will kind of shape and give an indication of who you are as a person. We'd like to have some insight to that. It helps us and it helps you in the process. And then we are test optional university, so we have a no harm policy, but if you decide to submit your test scores, it could help you. So those are some of the things that you can do. In addition, one other thing I can think of is a lot of universities will allow you to go through an interview with your admissions counselor, and that's always helpful. We will allow any student to interview, and it helps you in the process for those students that are interested in doing so.
So at Pace University, and I'm sure many other universities you're considering, being a well-rounded student is critical for the admissions process. So certainly round out your application, include your accomplishments, and then you can also consider tying that in for your essay. So if there's Anything that you're particularly proud of, that's something that you could consider having included within your essay. But more broadly speaking, really just evaluating students' writing ability, making sure that they are ready for that next step with college academics, paying close mind to how their consistency was in terms of their grades. So the more consistent your grades are, generally speaking, the better position you would be to be offered admission. And of course, the admissions process is going to vary based on the institution that you are applying to. So that's why engaging with your admissions counselor as often, or as early rather, as possible is always something that you should consider.
I feel like you've probably already mentioned everything. I usually tell my students that we're looking for two things. Number one, we want to make sure that you're going to be academically successful. We don't want to set you up to fail. And so the way that we evaluate your application, we are wanting to make sure that you've taken coursework that is appropriately challenging. We want to see how your grades were. We look for trends in the grades. Everybody's entitled to a bad year, maybe, or a bad half year. But if you have an upward trend, that's definitely something we're going to notice. Likewise, if there's a downward trend, there's going to be some red flags there that we're going to want to address, etc. So your academics obviously are going to be very important. But beyond that, at Purchase College, we pay a lot of attention to the human behind the application. We're not a really big school. We have about 3,500 students enrolled, and we care greatly about the community that we are bringing our students into. We're very proud of the community that we have built, and we want to make sure that, going back to the fit, right, that you're going to fit right in. And so there are not very many opportunities in the application itself for you to come through as the human that you are. That essay is super, super important to us because it's your one opportunity to speak in your own voice about yourself. And whether that is, Common App has all of these different prompts, and I won't speak for my colleagues, but I can tell you that for Purchase, it doesn't matter to me which prompt you choose to use, because all that prompt does is it gives you an opportunity to shine as a human. And so whether you want to tell me a hero's journey, or whether you want to talk about something that happened in your life that really had a significant impact in your life, or that kind of gave you a new sense of trajectory, whatever the case might be, I just want to see the kinds of things that you're excited about. I want to see what gets you really juiced up and ready to go, because I'm in the back of my mind when I'm reading your essay, I am looking to connect you to my community and making sure that you would be successful there. And at the end of the day, I talked about the humans before. It's all humans reading the essays. It's all humans doing this work. There isn't a machine in the back that plugs in numbers and tells us whether or not we're going to admit you. And so the opportunity to connect with you, however briefly, through that essay, and maybe through the letters of recommendation, I think is really, really meaningful to us as well. So don't underestimate that.
I think the important thing, and I can't speak for an Ivy League or a really competitive school, but the majority of the universities that I've worked for 4 different universities, we're all looking for reasons to admit you. We're not looking for reasons to deny students. And I think that's a really important thing to remember. There's going to be some programs that are more competitive, and there's going to be some schools that are more competitive, but the majority of the universities in this country are looking for reasons to admit you. We want students to get a higher education. We want students to have an opportunity to continue their education. I don't want us to sound scary either. We are humans, and we want the students to do well who decide to apply and who get in. And we're always looking for reasons to admit than we are to deny. At least I can speak, I think, mostly for the people here and for the 4 institutions I've worked at before, Manhattanville too.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a great perspective. Jason, did you want to add anything? I'm sorry.
Just concurring.
Okay, all right. Well, we were talking about the essay, and I was curious about what were the top qualities or themes that you were looking for, or that stood out to you when you read really great essays, personal statements from students that apply to your schools. What were some of those top qualities that you saw?
For me, it's authenticity, enthusiasm, a real sense of self, because I think that that's the part that really doesn't come through anywhere else in the application.
Overcoming some form of adversity is always impressive as well. So obviously life is full of ups and downs. So yeah, if students ever are able to include some type of adversity they overcame, that's always great to hear.
I always have a different take on this. Hopefully, not many of us, the hope is that we're in a really wonderful world and safe world, and so maybe some of us didn't have large adversities to overcome. What we don't want you to do is be inauthentic about those. It's
Correct.
more important for us to know, maybe it's that somebody inspired you. Maybe it's that you did something and now you know that's what you want to do. So it's more about knowing about you than whatever this thing is that you overcame. Because hopefully, my hope is that we're all in a really safe place and we don't have to do that. That's my, I don't know, utopia world, right? But I think that that's important also because, or maybe you're not comfortable talking about that. So finding another thing that is very authentic to you is the most important piece.
And I think it's important to make sure that you proofread your essay. You have someone read it multiple times. It's very important. We don't want to read something that feels rushed. We want, again, for you to be able to express yourself and just make sure that it's well thought out. It's something that is important to you because it's important to us, and we can see that come through in your writing. It's an example of your writing skills and a representation of you and who you are, so it's very important to spend some quality time on making sure that it's well written and that you have your essay proofread, not by just one person, but maybe 2 or 3 different people, so that you know that it's the quality that you want to represent yourself.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about the elephant in the room because all of my conversations with high school counselors over the last 3 years have revolved around AI. Don't do it. Right? Don't do it. We can tell when a college essay was AI generated. It doesn't help. We understand the panic that sometimes students can experience because they're coming up on a deadline and they really just want to get it done, but it really doesn't serve your purpose. We go back to the word authenticity, right? AI doesn't know you from your next door neighbor. They don't know anything about you. It doesn't know anything about you. And so you may think that you're taking a quick shortcut, but in the end it may actually hurt, and we can always tell.
Well, I don't mean to be the contrary one here.
Oh, no.
I do have a different feel about AI. I do think you should use the tools that you have available. If you are trying to figure out how to organize your thoughts, if you are using AI in your schoolwork because it's approved, so forgive me, but right, I think that it would be naive of us in admissions to assume that you're not using the tools that are available right now. So I'm fine with you using AI. However, we all, including myself and your parents, we know when we're getting an AI, totally AI generated message or email or personal essay. So in that sense, I would say if you're just spitting it back out, that's not using your tool. That's not being authentic. But I do think that to use the tools that you have available is innovative and smart. And so I'm okay with that. And of course, every university is going to have a different feel. But I think we're at a place where AI is not going to go anywhere. So we have to learn how to use it smartly and wisely and to our advantage, and make sure that we're being careful with how we use it. But that's how I feel, right? I think that we'll see that change as AI continues to grow and become more a part of our everyday lives.
I want to say that I agree with you 100%. So I probably should have clarified, don't let ChatGPT write the whole thing for you is what I meant. But for organization to kind of get some ideas rolling, I think that there's definitely a time and a place for AI. Just don't let it write your thing.
I'm sorry.
No, that was perfect actually, because I sometimes think that everybody can read my mind, and I'm always shocked when they can't. So thank you for the opportunity to clarify. I agree with you 100%.
I think we all thought that college admissions reps can read minds through the paper too. So as you're looking at different pieces of a student's application, you've got their transcript, you have their essay, you have letters of recommendation from teachers and from counselors. You see a list of their activities, their involvement in the community, and then you have all their SAT or ACT scores. How do you weigh all of these pieces when evaluating a student's application? Is one more important than the other? What is your perspective on that?
So when reviewing applications, and we're taking into account everything that you submit in your application, and it is weighted a little bit differently. We are more heavily weighted on cumulative GPA. However, we do take into account the rigor of the coursework that you're taking, APs, IBs, as well as college-level courses from 2- or 4-year institutions. So that's very important. You're also applying to the academic program that you're interested in studying. So the requirements are a little bit different depending on the program that you're applying to. For example, forensic science is our #1 program, and it's heavily weighted on cumulative GPA and the coursework that you're taking. So if you're able to take chemistry, biology, and the science courses in high school, it could help you. If you're able to take calculus or pre-calculus, that's going to help you in the process of applying to our forensic science program. So those are some things to look out for when you're speaking with your college reps. Just make sure that you're asking the right questions as well in terms of the academic program that you're applying to, because some of the requirements could be a little bit different. But we are evaluating the entire application that you submit.
Fairly similar for us, and obviously there will be some programs, as Phil mentioned, where requirements will vary. For example, the nursing program, it's quite common for those programs to have much more competitive admission standards. So that's when the GPA can be essentially one of the more, or one of the highest graded parts of the equation when evaluating students for admission. But typically, again, really harping back to the well-rounded component. So as long as a student is showing consistency in their grades, don't have to be a straight A student. Again, speaking for colleges at this institutional level, your Ivy Leagues and so forth are going to have a different take on that. But again, for institutions at this that you're applying to across the board here, the well-rounded component and the consistency that just show that you are really ready for that next step to transition to college. And then from there, you should feel pretty confident about your admissions application being reviewed in a positive light.
I'm feeling very philosophical tonight. So I was just thinking, as I'm listening to my colleagues at the table, I don't think the perfect applicant actually exists. Just like I don't think that there's a perfect human out there. I think we are beautiful with all of our flaws and with all of our wonderful qualities. And so I tend to approach application review as a puzzle. There's going to be a number of different pieces, and you don't necessarily know what you're going to get when you first open the box. But as you start to put the pieces together, you get a clear picture, right? That's very much the way that we review applications at Purchase College. And one thing that I'm proud of a lot of things at Purchase, but one thing that I'm very proud of is the fact that we are a school that really lives out its values. And so for us, your academic achievement is very important. But we also understand that maybe not everybody is going to achieve it the same way. And that's okay. If you show the drive and the determination and the commitment to your education, and maybe your GPA is a little bit lower, but we have programs that can support you, then you're still going to be a good candidate. And maybe your GPA, again, is a little bit lower than you think it could have been or should have been. But you're someone that has been really making a difference in your own community, someone that is really grounded, who values things that line up with the values that we hold. And so for me, it's kind of a process of discovery. And I will say, just because we have a lot of arts programs, those are all going to be looked at a little bit differently. If you're applying to a program that requires an audition or a portfolio, I'm going to say probably 80% of the decision is going to be coming from that portfolio or the audition directly. And the reason for that, if anybody's curious, is that, when you're looking at a BFA, about 3/4 of the curriculum is going to be strictly on that specific major. So if you want to be a music major, 90 credits minimum at the college level will be in courses related to being a musician. There's not a whole lot of academic expectations attached to those. There's a lot of performance, there's a lot of training, but not a lot of academics. And so we sometimes have a little more flexibility with academic requirements for the arts programs. But again, I don't want students to think that they may not qualify because their GPA is 2 points below the average where we typically accept. You are more than your GPA. We're a test optional school, we have been for years, but there's no harm in submitting a test score if it's something that you're proud of and you want to share it with us, obviously. But again, there's never any one single factor that is going to move you to the deny pile or the admit pile. For us, it's just a process of putting it all together.
I just want to mention one other thing as you are applying to the University of New Haven. When you apply for your particular academic program, you are also applying to our dual degree program options, which means you can get your bachelor's and your master's degree in 4 or 5 years. So when you get your acceptance letter back, if you do qualify for one of our dual degree program options, or multiple dual degree program options in your particular major program, it will be listed in your acceptance package. And so those are some of the things that I think that students should look out for when applying to the different colleges and universities that you're interested in, because every college could have a little bit different process, but that's the way it works at the University of New Haven.
I'm echoing all of the things. We have fine and performing arts at Manhattan, we have nursing. I think that Phil made a really great point, though. There will be, and we'll get to scholarships, but if you are admitted, sometimes you qualify for additional programs that have scholarship money attached to them. Sometimes those have additional applications. So being very mindful about reading your entire acceptance letter, your entire scholarship letter when you're admitted to a university is very important, because apparently we really like deadlines in admissions in colleges, but it also helps, again, when we were talking about demonstrated interest and your interest in the university. If you are interested in one of the 4 of us or someone else, we're expecting that you're paying attention to the information that we're sending. You'll get multiple reminders about different things. So I think that's a really important piece too, because that's when we talk about we're reading your application and we're getting to know you as a person, we're also then identifying different programs or other scholarship or different program opportunities that you might qualify for and be a really good fit for. So when we're talking about human to human, those are the pieces that we're talking about as well.
Excellent points. Thank you for that. I wanted to circle back a little bit to, we mentioned about SAT scores and test optional, and which schools that we have here already are test optional and have been for a while. Is there any advice you can give a student who's really unsure whether to submit, but also if you don't submit and it's test optional, how is that viewed?
So I'll just start out by saying, don't put too much pressure on yourselves, because it is a process for each institution that you're applying to. However, again, there are some differences in terms of applying to different universities. And for the University of New Haven, just in terms of submitting your application,
Your test optional, and you use it no harm policy.
we have a no harm policy. Thank you, Christina. So
We help each other out.
yes. So our no harm policy means that you can submit your test scores, and it can only help you. It can't hurt you in any way. So it's important to notice things like that at the different institutions that you're applying to.
Manhattanville's test optional, but we're really test blind. So like Phil at University of New Haven, they are using it sometimes potentially for additional scholarship. We don't use it in any part of the admission process. If you want to submit it, we'll look at it, but it won't impact, it really has no weight in our decision.
At Pace University, test optional, so as Beatrice actually said earlier, if you feel that your scores are a good representation of your academic abilities and you are proud of those scores, then by all means feel free to submit your scores, but just know that your application would never be viewed negatively if you did not submit your scores. Again, kind of harping back to that well-rounded component, it's great to see a student who has done some dual enrollment courses, has been involved outside of the classroom, has a particular goal in mind for college, and a lot of times at Pace we'll put a bit more stock into that versus a super impressive score on just a single exam. So ultimately, you do have the flexibility to submit scores or submit test optional.
Thank you. Can we talk a little bit about athletics? And I know that's a favorite topic for our panel here. We have some athletes sitting here as well. Can you talk a little bit about the difference in NCAA Division I and II and III in terms of admissions and then financial scholarships?
I look at Phil because we tend to answer this question often. So both of us were former collegiate athletes at different levels. I think Division I has changed drastically, really just in the past 2 to 3 years in terms of recruitment, in terms of how they give out scholarships, in terms of paying athletes for certain things. So I have to be very honest, I don't feel I know enough about Division I to talk in depth about it right now. I do know that if you are looking to play and you're a senior, at any level, you probably should have already been talking to a coach by now. If you're a junior or a sophomore, reach out and send in your tapes and reach out to the coaches. There's all those forms that you can fill out to be a prospective student athlete. Division II and III are a little more straightforward nowadays than I think Division I is. And Division III doesn't hold any money. So if you are thinking you're going to get a Division III athletic scholarship, NCAA Division III does not give out any athletic scholarships, so that's important to understand. I think also it's important to understand that you don't have to go to school and play athletics, play a sport. And if you go Division III, you have nothing in your merit that is tying you to play other than your love to play. I played 1 year of Division III basketball and decided to stop for my last 3 years. So I think that there's a lot of opportunity. I'm going to let Phil talk about Division II, and if you know more about Division I, you go for it, but I'm not touching that.
Thank you, Christina. Well, I happen to have played college basketball at the Division II level, the higher level of Division II athletics, which is similar to Division I. Just in terms of commitment, competitiveness, and there are scholarships at the Division II level. University of New Haven was Division II, and as of this year, we are now Division I.
Then you should be next.
So it is a step up for the university, and athletics is these days is now a business with the NIL agreements and name, image, and likeness. Athletes are more, they're no longer amateurs, they're more professional athletes at the higher end of Division I. We are mid-level, mid to low-level Division I now in the Northeast Conference. So joining an athletic program, like Christine had mentioned, will require you to be recruited, to get recruited from colleges, usually in your sophomore, junior year, and not necessarily just in your senior year. So that's a very important distinction to understand. You can, however, ask about tryouts for certain programs, and there are those opportunities. Rare, however, they do happen, and student athletes can earn scholarships at the highest level, but that's all dependent on your relationship with the team, with the athletic program, with the coach, and a lot of times the coaches do have that discretion, and the entire coaching staff to determine who gets a scholarship. So if you're not actively being recruited, then you may want to fill out a form that's maybe prospective student athlete, which is what we have on our University of New Haven. So it's newhavenchargers.com website. And you can do those types of things to get in front of the coaches. I happen to be one of the liaisons in our admissions department, so you can email me your videos or your links to your profile and a summary of your statistics and the things that you've done as an athlete, which can get forwarded to the coaches, and another option in terms of being able to get in front of the coaches. But however, there's also the transfer portal. So athletics has just taken a big turn in terms of being more of a business where athletes are getting paid, making a lot of money, sometimes more than going professional. Sometimes student athletes can make a significant amount of money and get money for endorsements. So it's definitely a business these days, and there's a lot to it. So make sure you're connecting with your admissions representatives, athletics departments, and if you're interested, it's highly competitive these days. So make sure you're asking the right questions and talking to the right contacts.
At Pace University, we are Division II. Our lacrosse team is doing quite well. But as my colleagues mentioned earlier, at the D2 level, frankly, across the board, D1 through 3, students are almost always recruited. There are those rare opportunities to try out for teams, but again, most of the time students would be recruited. In terms of the scholarship component, that's all handled by the coach and their respective teams. On the D2 level, to my knowledge, it's typically more scholarships in the range of the single digits, so not a substantial double-digit sort of scholarship for students, even at the D2 level. But again, that's all throughout the coach's scope, so they can speak more to that and explain how the scholarship process works for prospective D2 students. But at Pace, we also have intramural sports. So let's say you aren't an ultra-competitive athlete. We have different ways for you to be a student athlete. And believe it or not, e-gaming now is increasingly popular. So to my knowledge, there's no scholarships given out yet for that, but I've heard it could be coming down the pipe. We'll see what happens there. And then there's also intramural side of things for e-gaming too. So yeah, different ways to get involved as an athlete at our university. Trying to think what else might be helpful. I think we kind of mentioned all the points, anything like that.
The one thing that I would add is that it's a real job being a student athlete, but student comes first. And I think that I went through something like this with my oldest child, who is now a junior in college, and he very much wanted to play his sport in college. And as he registered with the NCAA and he started to coordinate with coaches and visits and interviews and all of that, he realized that he just wanted to play for the love of the game. And he was really intimidated by the prospect of having to live his day-to-day, based around practices in the morning and in the afternoon, and all of these other supplementary work that he needed to do just to stay in the team. He ended up going to a D1 school. He's not playing at the D1 level, but he's happy to play club soccer, and he's having a great time. If you have a love for the game, it's okay to continue to play it. Every college and university is going to have intramurals, as Jason mentioned, or maybe like Purchase is a Division III school. I go to the games all the time because I'm a big sports fan in general. And these kids have a real passion for what they do, but they're really unencumbered by their soccer or their basketball, whatever. They understand that the student part of student athlete comes first. And they manage to make time for their sport because it matters to them, much like we would make time for all of the other things that are important in our life. So there is room for all of these things to fit into your life, but it doesn't have to be at this super, super competitive level.
It's just athletics right now, I think, is so complex. And so you do have to ask yourself, I think is what Beatrice is saying, is at what level do you want that to be part of your life? And some Division III is very competitive, right? And so, you know, even at Manhattanville, some of them are more competitive than others right now. And so you will find what works for you if that's something that you want to continue on with. So I think talking to your coaches, and I know so many students are on travel teams now, and they're going to showcases, and so talking to your coaches that are talking to the college coaches is also super helpful, and a lot of times they have people that you can speak to during those showcases, so it's just a different world than I think, I'm not that old, but it's definitely a much different world than what I experienced, and I think what we experienced even, you know, 5 or 7 years ago in college and universities.
Thank you. That was very insightful. We had our financial aid night last week, so we spent a lot of time talking about FAFSA, scholarships, merit aid, things of that nature. Does anybody want to give any advice for anybody looking for scholarships or to qualify for financial aid, given the FAFSA, and what other scholarships you might have at your schools?
I just want to say the FAFSA is open.
Yes.
Free application for federal aid is open, so go on and start that now. But you don't need to wait until you've received decisions. If you have your top 5 schools, you go in and fill that out and submit it, and then you can always go back and add schools. But please, it's open. It's the first time in 2 years that it has been open on time. It was early this year, so please, that is my biggest PSA this year, is do it sooner rather than later. It's open and go start it, and you can always go back and add schools later, but it's open now.
And I would say submit it. Even if you think that you're not going to qualify, you would be surprised to see how much money gets left behind unclaimed, because sometimes parents think that they're not going to qualify for anything. You don't know for sure. So go ahead and submit. There's all kinds of opportunities available between loans and grants and maybe work study. Submit, please.
Most schools, so Manhattanville, a lot of schools have this, but at Manhattanville we have a FAFSA filing grant. This year we increased it from $1,000 to $2,000 for your scholarship, so we're saying just what Beatrice said, submit it, because you don't know what you're going to qualify for, but you know at least at Manhattanville that when you submit it, you qualify for another $2,000 scholarship. So I know a lot of schools are doing that as well. It's just important to submit. Every student that submits the FAFSA qualifies for a federal loan. So all students that file qualify for the federal loan, and you can decide whether you want to take it or not. You all qualify for the unsubsidized federal loan. So that's an important piece, I think, to remember as well, for parents to remember as well, if you're looking for ways to fund your students' education. So those are my couple PSAs.
And I will just have to re-emphasize how important it is to apply earlier or sooner rather than later for the FAFSA, because the second step to that is making sure that you complete your application process, because we can't issue you your financial aid package until you've actually been accepted at the university. So that's very, very important. Sometimes students will submit their application and sit on it for the items that are missing or that are outstanding on their application. And then they're months later trying to submit these requirements and get accepted, and now you've lost time in the process. And so some of those scholarships that were available through the FAFSA to get on your financial aid package are no longer available. And you don't want to put yourself in that situation and jeopardize the opportunity of earning scholarships that you could have earned when you initially submitted your application for admission after you've already applied for your FAFSA. Again, you need to be accepted in order to receive your financial aid package, and that's very, very important to know.
At Pace University, we also have the incentive grant, so as long as students do have theirs submitted, being the FAFSA by the February 15th deadline, that's considered our priority deadline, Pace automatically adds that additional $2,000 grant to your financial aid package. So even if you don't qualify for any aid outside of those available loans, you will be able to take advantage of that grant, and it would be a renewable one, so there's definitely some free money on the table there that you don't want to leave unclaimed. And on the topic of unclaimed scholarships, there's research out there to show about $100 million of third-party scholarships go unclaimed, so there's a lot of funding out there. I just feel that a lot of students are either not made aware of it or might be fearful of the process to ultimately go after the funds that are on the table there. So connect with your guidance counselor office, connect with different folks in your community who might have insights. And at Pace, we do have a section on our website dedicated to third-party scholarships, so you could always kind of use that as a starting point to try to get some more funding that way. And if there's any other folks on the call tonight, maybe some juniors, sophomores, or anybody who will be in this spot next year, Pace does have a lot of great resources on its website for ultimately getting a very good idea for what an education at Pace would cost. So there's a net price calculator and a scholarship merit estimator. So you can definitely use those whenever you'd like. As long as you are inputting accurate information, you should get a pretty good idea in terms of what a degree at Pace would cost you.
We don't do any type of incentives or scholarships based on FAFSA at Purchase College, but the cost of our tuition is under $10,000 for the year. So I feel like that's okay that we don't create those types of incentives because we are very, very affordable. And I think that for a top 10 public liberal arts college in the country, I think we're doing okay. But yes, all very good points. Thank you.
Every institution is required to have a net price calculator on their website, so that is a federal requirement. So you can go to any one of our websites and see that, and any other institution that you're looking at that is accredited by a higher education accrediting body. So that's an important piece to know, that you all have access to that at every institution.
Thank you. Did you have something to add, Jason? Or are you good?
Oh no, all good.
Okay. Any final thoughts or pieces of advice for our families in navigating the college admission process? Great.
Hi, I have a question. So, what's I'm a freshman, can I submit the FAFSA, I think that was the name, application?
Are you a current freshman,
Ninth grader.
ninth grader? You will submit it when you're applying to
Senior year.
your senior year, yeah. But you can go on and do the net price calculators and see what you would currently qualify for.
Do we have any questions from our live stream? Okay. Any final thoughts or advice that we want to share with our families on admissions and processes or anything else to add before we close for the evening?
Open house this Sunday, Pace University. There's a plug.
This is the plug time. Go for it.
Yep, so Sunday for our New York City campus, and then later on this month for our Westchester campus. So hope to see everybody there. Obviously reach out if there's questions. In the meantime, we're accessible just about any way you can think of, whether it's email, phone call, chat service. I think I could speak for my colleagues here as well, that we're all accessible through all those outlets. So look forward to addressing questions going forward and hope to see everybody on campus one way or the other.
And on that same topic, we have our open house on Sunday as well. If you are looking at the University of New Haven and looking to come to West Haven, Connecticut, where our main campus is located. And also, again, as Jason indicated, you can always reach out to us through email, phone calls, or text messaging for me as well.
You can look on our website and see when our open houses are. We have a couple coming up, one at the end of the month and in November, but I think my last piece of advice is to have fun with it. You're getting to decide what you and where you might want to be for the next 4 years, or more if you decide to do an accelerated or an additional master's. And so that's really exciting. I think being honest with your counselors, both in your high school and your admissions counselors, will only be helpful. Like if you're not interested in a university anymore, like that's okay. We also don't want to keep investing in you if you're like, this isn't for me. And don't feel bad about that, right? And make sure that you're being really honest with your high school counselor. You know, I'm really liking this school, or I'm not really liking this school. And I think that being honest with yourself and having a little bit of fun, like Phil said, like take a little bit of pressure off. I think Beatrice said that, like take a little pressure off yourself. This is also a really fun time and a really exciting time, and you're going to graduate, and you're going to have your last prom, and you're going to have all of these amazing experiences. Don't let this process weigh all of those other things down.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
And I will say, get some rest, hydrate, eat well. It's a marathon, right? This is a process, and be present, enjoy it as much as you can. There is a perfect school out there for everybody. There's multiple perfect schools for everybody. At the end of senior year, you're gonna have a totally different picture, and you're gonna be so happy that you went through this process. Enjoy it, it goes quickly.
Yeah, I agree.
Agreed.
Well, I just can't thank you guys enough for being here. Christina, Phil, Jason, and Beatrice, we really appreciate the time that you took. You shared all your expertise, you gave great advice, great insights, and we really appreciate you coming to Mayapack High School to share this with our families, to support us. So thank you again for being here, and thank you all for coming this evening. We hope you leave here with a higher sense of excitement and decision-making and understanding of the process, and we hope that you realize your dreams as you go through the process as well. So thank you again, and we'll see you next year, hopefully.